I never thought I'd live long enough to see the day when my own daughter-in-law would lock me out of the home I built with my bare hands. At 66 years old, standing on my own porch in Ohio with the January wind cutting through my coat, I kept repeating one question in my mind. How did I become a stranger in the house where I raised my son? My name is Margaret Hill, born and raised in Cincinnati, Ohio. I've lived a quiet, ordinary American life, grocery coupons, church Sundays, blueberry pancakes every Christmas, the kind of simple routines that make a house feel like a home. But the woman my son married, Emily, changed everything. I used to think Emily was shy, reserved, maybe even intimidated by me. But over time, I learned something darker. She wanted control. Quiet control, the kind you don't notice until it's already too late. And on that freezing Thursday morning, she proved exactly what she was capable of. The day started like any other. I woke up early, wrapped my knitted shawl around my shoulders, and started making coffee in the kitchen. The house smelled like cinnamon, my favorite candle scent, one I always kept on the dining table. But I wasn't alone. Emily walked in, hair tied in a messy bun, clutching her phone like it was glued to her palm. She didn't say good morning. She barely looked at me. She just opened the refrigerator, sighed loudly, and muttered something about old people using too much electricity. I ignored the jab. I'd learned to. For the past 6 months, ever since my hip surgery, I had been living with my son Michael and Emily. I only needed support while recovering just until I could move easily again. But somehow, a few months had turned into "you should stay longer, Mom." Then, "you can help with the bills, Mom." Then, "you're home all day, Mom. Just take care of the chores." Slowly, very slowly, I began to see that this wasn't help. This was dependence. Not mine, theirs. Still, I pushed through. That's what mothers do. I was rinsing the coffee mug when Emily spoke. "Margaret, can we talk for a second?" I turned around. She had that look, the kind that made me feel like I was in a principal's office. "You've been here a long time," she said flatly. "And Michael and I needs privacy. Space. You know." I opened my mouth to respond, but she lifted her hand. "We've talked to a financial advisor. He said your house value has gone up. Maybe it's time you consider selling it and moving into senior apartments. It's practical." It felt like someone punched the air out of my lungs. My house. My home. The place where Michael took his first steps, where my late husband and I built every wooden shelf together, the garden I tended for 32 years. "I'm not selling my home," I said quietly. Emily shrugged. "Well, then maybe you should start contributing more. Bills are heavy. And Michael works all day." That was the moment I realized. She didn't want my company. She wanted my money. Later that afternoon, I stepped outside to grab the mail. Snowflakes were drifting down softly. The cold bit my fingertips, but the fresh air felt good. But when I walked back up the porch steps and tried the door, it didn't open. I checked again, twisted the knob harder. Nothing. Locked. From the inside. At first, I thought it was a mistake. Maybe Emily was cleaning, or maybe the lock jammed. But then I saw it, through the living room window. Emily standing there, arms crossed, staring at me without a shred of guilt. She mouthed the words, "Wait outside." I couldn't believe it. I knocked. No response. I called Michael. Straight to voicemail. Minutes passed. My fingers were turning numb. I wrapped my shawl tighter, trying not to cry, trying not to feel like a child again, unwanted, pushed aside. Then my phone buzzed. A text from Emily. "Stay out for a bit. We're having a discussion. You'll be updated." Updated. Like I was a delivery package. But then, something happened that Emily had not expected. A dark gray SUV pulled into the driveway. A man in a long coat stepped out, carrying a leather briefcase. He looked straight at me and said, "Mrs. Hill? I'm Attorney Douglas Reeves. We need to talk immediately." And right then, the balance of power in that house shifted. Everything was about to change. The cold Ohio air stung my cheeks as the lawyer approached me on the porch. His shoes crunched softly against a thin layer of snow. I pulled my shawl tighter, embarrassed, confused, and shaking, Not just from the cold, but from everything happening so fast. Mrs. Hill, he said with a calm politeness, I need to confirm something before we go inside. Has your daughter-in-law ever prevented you from entering your own home before today? My throat tightened. This isn't my home, I said quietly. It's my son's. I'm just staying here while recovering. Attorney Reeves nodded slowly, but his expression became troubled. That's exactly what concerns me. Before I could ask what he meant, Emily opened the door. Her face twisted, surprised to see the lawyer standing on the porch with me. Douglas, she said, pretending to smile. What are you doing here so early? We said 4 o'clock. He didn't return her smile. He didn't even step inside. Instead, he turned to her and said, Emily, locking Margaret out, even temporarily, can legally be considered elder abuse under Ohio law. You're aware of that, right? Her face drained of color. Oh no, it's not like that, she stammered. She stepped out for air. I was just doing laundry. The door must have shut automatically. Her lies came out smooth, easy, practiced. The lawyer looked at me. Is that true? I didn't speak. I didn't need to. My silence said enough. Emily cleared her throat. Let's go inside. It's cold. She stepped aside, but the lawyer blocked the doorway gently. Actually, before I step in, I need a word with Margaret privately. Her jaw clenched, but she didn't argue. She shut the door, harder than necessary. We stepped off the porch and walked toward the driveway. My legs trembled with every step, partly from the cold and partly from fear. I barely knew this man. Why was he here? Why had Emily called him? And why was he warning her about legal consequences? He finally stopped beside his SUV and turned to me. Mrs. Hill, I want you to understand something very clearly. I am not representing you. Emily and Michael requested a consultation with me 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks?
My heart sank.
What did they want? I managed to ask. He sighed softly, as if trying to find a gentle way to say something harsh. They were asking about your financial assets. Specifically your house, your pension, and whether they could have legal authority to manage your affairs. I felt my heartbeat spike. My affairs? It was framed as concern for your health, he explained. But the paperwork they requested goes beyond simple help. It could give them control of your decisions, including where you live. The world around me blurred. I'm not incapable, I whispered. I just had a hip surgery. I know, he said kindly. And that's why I refused to assist them without a professional medical capacity evaluation. I told them clearly that you seemed fully competent to handle your own life. I blinked back tears, both from relief and betrayal. How long had they been planning behind my back? The lawyer continued. Emily seemed annoyed when I told her I wouldn't move forward without your consent. That sounded like her. And then, he added, she scheduled a meeting for today at 4 p.m. to try again. But when she texted me just an hour ago insisting I come now and mentioned a situation, I became concerned. My breath froze. She called you because she thought locking me out would help her somehow? I asked. His eyes hardened. Mrs. Hill, she told me you were having an episode, that you were confused, agitated, and refusing to let them help you. My stomach twisted. She was trying to make me look mentally unstable. The lawyer took a careful breath. Mrs. Hill, do you want to go back inside right now? Or would you prefer to speak at my office? I cannot force you, but based on what I've seen today, I'm worried for your safety. The words worried for your safety echoed in my ears. And then, through the window, I saw Emily, standing behind the curtain, watching us, her expression tight, restless, calculating. For the first time, I wondered if she feared what the lawyer might tell me. I swallowed hard. No, I said. I want to go inside. I need to hear what they've been planning from them. The lawyer nodded. Then I'll stand with you. We walked back toward the porch, side by side, the wind pushing sharply against us. Because one thing was clear. Whatever waited behind that door, it wasn't just a misunderstanding. It was the beginning of something much darker. The moment we stepped back inside, the warmth hit my face, but it didn't feel comforting. It felt suffocating, like the air itself knew something wasn't right. Emily stood in the middle of the living room, arms crossed over her sweater, forcing a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Michael was now beside her, his shoulders tense, his face pale. He must have rushed home after the lawyer texted him. The lawyer closed the door gently behind us. "Emily," he said calmly, "I'd like an explanation." She didn't look at him. She didn't look at me either. Instead, she stared at Michael like she needed him to defend her. Michael stepped forward. "Mom, what happened outside was a misunderstanding." A misunderstanding. Such a simple word. So harmless, yet powerful enough to erase the truth if spoken with enough confidence. "I went out for the mail," I said quietly. "And when I came back, the door was locked." Emily cut in quickly. "The wind shut it. I swear, I didn't realize she was still outside." The lawyer raised an eyebrow. "Then why did you text me saying she was having an episode?" Michael and Emily's eyes widened. They hadn't expected him to reveal that. Emily stumbled over her words. I just thought something was wrong." She seemed confused this morning. I was concerned. My chest tightened with anger I didn't recognize, anger mixed with humiliation. "I wasn't confused," I said, voice trembling. "You told me to sell my home and move into senior housing. You said I was a burden." Michael's eyes shot to Emily, shocked. "Emily, you said that?" She flared. "I didn't say burden. I said it would help us all. She's struggling. She needs stability." The lawyer interrupted. "Emily, your statements earlier this morning differ significantly from the ones you gave me over the last few weeks. You should be transparent, especially when dealing with elder affairs." Emily glared at him. "That's why I called you. To help us manage everything legally. Margaret is clearly stressed, and she needs control." I whispered. The room fell silent. My voice cracked. "You wanted to control everything. My house. My pension. My decisions. Didn't you?" Michael rubbed his forehead, overwhelmed. "Emily, tell me you didn't go behind my back." She hesitated. That hesitation said more than any words could. Michael's voice dropped to a whisper. "Emily, did you talk to the lawyer without telling me everything?" Emily's chest rose and fell quickly. She looked cornered. "I was trying to help us. We're drowning in bills. And your mother." "My mother is family," Michael snapped, a rare sharpness in his tone. Emily flinched. "You didn't lock her out for her safety," he said. "You locked her out because she doesn't give you the answer you want. Admit it." Emily's lips pressed into a thin line. She didn't admit it. She didn't deny it. She just stood there. And that silence, that heavy, loaded silence, was the truth. Attorney Reeves cleared his throat, breaking the tension. "Michael, Emily, what you are attempting to do requires Margaret's full consent. You cannot take over someone's financial or personal decisions without proper legal evaluation and approval." Michael nodded, embarrassed. "I didn't know she was going this far." The lawyer continued. "What happened today, locking Margaret out, could be used as evidence of coercion." Emily's eyes widened. "Coercion? I didn't force anything. You just isolated her from entering the home," he said. "That alone is considered grounds for investigation in Ohio." Emily's voice rose in panic. "That's not fair." I was stressed. "This house is small. She's everywhere, always asking things, always watching." "I live here," I whispered. "And I watch because you treat me like an intruder." Her breath caught. Michael turned toward me, guilt clouding his eyes. "Mom, why didn't you tell me she was treating you like this?" "Because I thought I wanted you to be happy. Because I didn't want to be the mother-in-law who destroys her son's marriage. Because I thought things would change. But most of all, because I never imagined you would believe her over me. I didn't want to cause trouble," I said softly. "You have enough stress already." Michael looked devastated. "I should have been paying attention."
I'm sorry, Mom.
Emily's expression twisted. "Of course you take her side. She's your mother. And you're supposed to be a decent human being," he shot back. Her mouth dropped open. The lawyer finally stepped forward. "Let's calm down. There are legal ways to resolve this. But first, Margaret needs to decide whether she wants to continue living here. I froze. Every emotion, fear, anger, heartbreak, collapsed into one painful truth. I didn't know the answer anymore. For a long moment, the room felt like it was holding its breath. The lawyer's question hung in the air. Margaret, do you want to continue living here? I looked around the living room. The beige walls, the family photos on the mantel, the worn-out rug beneath my feet. This house wasn't mine, but it had become the place where I was recovering, healing, trying to feel like I belonged. But suddenly, I no longer recognized it. The safety, the warmth, the sense of family, it had all been slowly stripped away. A little each day. A comment here. A sigh there. A door locked. Emily swallowed hard, her voice shaky but defensive. You do want to stay, right? I mean, where else will you go? The way she said it, like she expected me to depend on her, like she assumed I had no options, gave me a strange surge of strength. I don't know, I said quietly. Maybe somewhere I'm wanted. Michael stepped forward immediately. Mom, don't say that.
Please.
This is your home too. Is it? I asked, looking straight at him. Honestly, Michael, is it? He closed his eyes, guilt written all over him. Emily threw up her hands. Oh, come on. She's being dramatic now. The lawyer cut her off sharply. Emily, stop. You've said enough. She froze, eyes burning. I took a slow breath. I'm not being dramatic.
I'm tired.
Exhausted, actually. I've been tiptoeing around in my own son's house, trying not to upset anyone. Michael's voice cracked. Mom, I had no idea. I swear. I know, I said softly. Because I didn't want you to know. You work long hours, you're stressed. I didn't want to add to it. Emily scoffed.
See?
She admits she's difficult. She needs too much. Emily, the lawyer said firmly, I advise you to remain silent. Every sentence you say is making this worse. She clamped her mouth shut, seething. Attorney Reeves took a breath and looked at me with a steadiness that grounded the room. Mrs. Hill, you have full control over your finances, your home, your life. If you choose to leave temporarily, I can help you arrange housing or even make sure your own property is properly secured and prepared for your return. My house, I whispered. It's been empty since the surgery. He nodded. It's still legally yours. And from what I see today, it might be time to reclaim it. Emily snapped her head up. So, now you're encouraging her to leave?
Great.
Wonderful. Then we become the villains. You became the villain when you locked me out, I said, my voice steady now, steady in a way even I didn't expect. Emily's lips trembled with fury. You're twisting everything. No, I said calmly. You did that yourself. Michael rubbed his face with both hands. Emily, just stop. He turned to me again. Mom, I should have paid more attention. I knew Emily was overwhelmed, but I didn't know she was taking it out on you. Emily spun toward him, disbelief in her eyes. You're blaming me? You know your mother. She always plays the victim. Enough, he snapped. His voice was so sharp that even the lawyer stiffened slightly. Emily, she raised me alone after my father died. She worked double shifts, walked to work in the snow, and still came home to make dinner. She's not a burden. She's not a problem. She's my mother. And the fact that you can't show her basic respect. Emily cut him off, tears welling. So you choose her over me? Is that what's happening? No, he said quietly. I'm choosing what's right. Emily took a step back as if she'd been struck. The lawyer turned to me. Margaret, whatever you decide, I'll make sure it's handled properly. I breathed in deeply. The air tasted heavy, like years of silence and swallowed pain finally rising. I think, I said slowly, I need time away from this house. Michael's eyes filled with heartbreak, but he nodded. I'll support whatever you choose, Mom. Emily, however, let out a bitter laugh.
Fine.
Run away then. Leave us with the bills and the stress. Go back to your old house if that makes you happy. The lawyer shot her a warning look. But I didn't respond to her. I looked at Michael and softly said, I'm not running away. I'm choosing myself for once. And for the first time since the morning, I felt my spine straighten, my shoulders lift, my voice strengthen. I'll pack my things, I said. And I'll leave tonight. Emily gasped in disbelief. You're leaving? Tonight. I nodded. Before anyone tries to lock another door on me. The house felt painfully quiet as I walked to the guest room. My legs were still unsteady from surgery, but my decision made them stronger. The lawyer waited in the living room while Michael lingered near the hallway, unsure whether to help or apologize. I pulled out the suitcase I'd kept under the bed since moving in after surgery. I had packed it with gratitude then, believing I was entering a home filled with love, not hidden hostility. As I folded my clothes, I paused over a framed photo of Michael as a child. I held it against my chest, closing my eyes. He had been such a bright boy, sweet, gentle, protective. I wondered how adulthood had made him blind to the cracks in his own home. A soft knock came at the door. Mom, Michael's voice trembled. Can I come in? I nodded. He stepped inside, eyes red, hands shaking. I didn't know.
I didn't know any of it.
I know, I said softly. You trusted your wife, as you should. But trust doesn't erase responsibility. He nodded, shoulders slumping. I'll make this right. I don't want to lose you. You won't, I said. But things need to change. Emily appeared behind him, unwilling to let the moment be gentle. So that's it? You're leaving because of one bad day. One bad day. I repeated, my voice calm, but edged with steel. This wasn't just a bad day. This was the day everything you've done finally came to light. She rolled her eyes. You're being dramatic. If you go, don't expect me to beg you to come back. I'm not expecting anything, I replied. Within an hour, I stood on the porch with my suitcase, the cold evening air brushing against my cheeks. The lawyer helped me down the steps carefully. I'll follow you to your house, he said. We need to check the property. Michael walked me to the car. He hugged me tightly, so tightly I could feel years of regret pouring out of him. I'm sorry, he whispered again. I held his face gently. Take care of your marriage, but take care of your conscience too. He nodded, tears slipping down his cheeks. Emily stood in the doorway, arms tightly folded, her eyes narrowed, not with sadness, but with fear. Fear of losing control. Fear of the truth ruining the story she had built. I got into the lawyer's SUV and watched the house shrink in the rearview mirror. Not once did Emily step forward to say goodbye. And that told me everything. When we reached my old house, my real home, it looked lonely but welcoming. The porch light still worked. The lock turned smoothly. The air inside carried the faint smell of old books and lavender, the scent I had always adored. The lawyer checked the property, made sure everything was secure, and turned to me. Mrs. Hill, you're safe here. And you're in control. Safe.
Control.
Words I hadn't felt in months. Thank you, I whispered. If you need anything, legal help, financial arrangements, home assistance, call me. When he left, I stood in the quiet hallway, taking in the feeling of my own walls, my own floors. I walked from room to room, touching the memories I had stored like treasure. The fireplace where Michael had opened his Christmas gifts. The kitchen where I baked pies every Thanksgiving. The garden where his father and I planted tulips. Everything here belonged to me, not just legally but emotionally. And for the first time since surgery, I felt like myself again. 2 weeks passed. 2 weeks of peace, of rediscovering independence, of learning that loneliness feels different when it's chosen rather than forced. Then one quiet morning as I was pouring coffee, my doorbell rang. I opened the door, and Michael stood there. But he wasn't alone. Emily was beside him, holding a folder, looking like someone who'd seen a ghost. Mom, Michael said gently. Emily has something she wants to say. She swallowed hard. I got a letter, she whispered. A letter? I asked. She held out the folder with trembling hands. It's from Adult Protective Services. They opened an investigation. My eyes widened. She continued, voice small and shaky, so unlike her usual sharpness. They asked me to explain why you were locked outside. They asked about the texts I sent the lawyer. They said elder coercion is a crime. She looked up at me, fear, guilt, and realization mixing in her eyes. "I'm so sorry," she whispered. "I never meant for it to go that far. I felt overwhelmed and I was wrong. Completely wrong." I stayed silent. Michael stepped closer. "I've started therapy. For both of us. We're working on things. But we came today because Emily wants to apologize properly, and because we want to ask if we can earn your forgiveness." My heart softened, not fully, but enough to breathe again. "Forgiveness isn't given in a day," I said slowly. "It's built." Emily nodded, wiping tears. "I'll build it. I promise." I let them inside. We talked for hours, honest, painful, necessary words. And when they left, I realized something powerful. I hadn't lost my family. I had finally reclaimed my place in it. But on my terms. Not through fear. Not through manipulation. Not through control. Through dignity. Through boundaries. Through strength I never knew I still had. I closed the door that evening with a quiet smile, whispering to myself, "This is my home. My life. My peace. And no one will ever lock me out of it again."